Prime Minister Mark Carney gave a speech where Canadians heard devastating news.
And our response begins by reimagining aspects of North American integration. And to be absolutely clear, Canada, like Mexico, Canada remains open to deeper integration, including options for Fortress North America in selected sectors.
Canada's openness to deeper integration with the U.S. empire, the diametric opposite of what Canadians want and demand. That's cuckoo. It's insane.
Canada, like Mexico,
Don't hide behind Mexico. Stop it. Canadians broadly agree that the United States empire is the #1 threat to Canada by far, okay? The neo-fascist U.S. empire and Israel, their puppet state, are the biggest terrorists on the face of the planet. Canadians at least have some semblance of self-preservation. Not Mark Carney, though.
Canada remains open to deeper integration, including options for Fortress North America in selected sectors.
This is Carney's preferred option. This is option number 1.
And to be clear, those offers are on the table. But if that route is not ultimately possible, we will invest heavily in new markets and products.
If that route is not possible, we'll look elsewhere. It's his first choice. What the fuck is Fortress North America? Turns out there is a complete framework of what Fortress North America entails. A pro-US empire think tank put out this lovely document. Is essentially a list of demands by the US empire for the 2026 CUSMA review. In the interest of figuring out what the hell Mark Carney's saying, let's review the Securing US Interests in the 2026 US MCA or CUSMA review. Building a Fortress North America. Let's read it, shall we? To secure the region's economic and strategic interests, the 3 countries should focus on cooperative solutions that reinforce U.S. leadership and deepen North America's competitiveness, resilience, and cohesion. To advance U.S. interests, the following priorities should guide the review. Secure critical minerals for U.S. industries. U.S. manufacturing from autos to defense depends on reliable access to critical minerals. Protect U.S. security through investment screening. Protecting U.S. technology and infrastructure. Build transparent and resilient U.S. supply chains. Protect U.S. jobs and reduce reliance on adversaries. Protecting U.S. jobs from adversaries. Canada. Cement U.S. energy dominance. Energy security and export leadership are central to U.S. competitiveness and influence. Lead in the digital economy. U.S. leadership in technology ensures American companies and workers set the rules rather than competitors abroad. Canada. Deepen North American financial integration. Stronger financial integration reduces costs for U.S. businesses, expands access to capital, and strengthens defenses against illicit flows. If approached strategically, the review can transform the USMCA into the cornerstone of a Fortress North America, a secure, resilient, and competitive region that advances U.S. leadership in an increasingly fragmented world. Mark Carney's agreed to at least some of these points. Hello? That's fucking insane. Fortress North America is an empire's wish list for domination. Read these words. Secure minerals for U.S. Protect U.S. security. U.S. dominance. Central to U.S. influence. Financial integration.
To deeper integration, including options for Fortress North America in selected sectors.
Carney's open to this? Hello? This is a document demanding complete submission to the U.S. empire. Agreeing to any of these points would be reducing Canada's sovereignty and handing power over to the U.S. empire. This is the Fortress North America that Mark Carney has already conceded to. Why not Carney's bargaining strategy, you can hardly call it that, with the United States has been concession after concession, and conceding to the Fortress North America framework is just the latest in the slew of concessions. So now he's going into trade negotiations already submitting to the US Empire wish list framework. No negotiations necessary. Canada is apparently on board. He can agree to Fortress North America because he is a neo-fascist aligned world banker elite. Plain and simple, that's just the truth. When Carney used the cringe as elbows up line, what he meant was face down, ass up, because this world banker elite is getting the country okay? It's because Mark Carney is a dog for US empire and the interests of capital. These concessions will only benefit the capital-owning class, while the working class continues to suffer and sacrifice. Conceding to the fascist pedestal in charge of the empire won't help the youth who are facing stacking crises on top of an ecological catastrophe that Mark Carney's doing all about. He's an elite collaborator with the fascist US empire. The Fortress North America document didn't specifically outline it, but the fortress is also a real physical military thing as well. For example, Mark Carney has already said that Canada will be a willing participant to Donald Trump's Golden Dome.
Are you still committed to invest money in the Golden Dome?
There are many areas where we cooperate closely with the Americans for our defense, but we are also exploring the next phase of that defense with the United States that could include what's called the Golden Dome. If it's in the right interests of Canada, and I think there are certainly many scenarios where it will be in the right interests of Canada, we will be a willing participant.
The Golden Dome would require fascist military installations to be installed across Canada. A insane notion, essentially inviting in a foreign adversary at their request.
We're going to build the greatest Golden Dome ever built. We're building a Golden Dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not.
It would be the end of Canadian sovereignty. Doesn't that sound great, Canada? Don't you want to be a missile sponge for the US fortress? Mark Carney does.
We will be a willing participant.
What a dog, I swear to God. The fortress is a military thing as well, based on Carney's commitment to quadrupling Canada's military spending to 5% of GDP, which is just war maxing. The 5% thing was a demand by Trump that Mark Carney gave immediately without concessions, which is something you only do when you're not advocating for the interests of working class Canadians. You do that when you're advocating for the interests of US empire and the military industrial complex. He's using the working class's stolen wealth and handing it to the military industrial complex, pretending like this will save the economy.
We are in the process of catalyzing $500 billion of investment in defense and security and resilience over the next decade.
Hyper-militarization at the expense of austerity maxing is a roadmap to disaster. Carney is stealing the futures out of the hands of the working class, particularly the youth and marginalized communities, all in the name of helping the dying US empire build their Fortress North America. Wow. Great leadership. What could possibly go wrong? Carney likes to say
that nostalgia is not a strategy.
That means we got a deal in today's terms, which means the United States is the #1 threat to Canada, by far, not even close, end of story. Carney is actively saying, openly, he's saying it.
Canada remains open to deeper integration.
He wants to further integrate militarily and economically with the single greatest threat to Canadians. He is objectively stuck in the past, bygone worldview of Western empire. The whole nostalgia's not a strategy thing is just marketing for his grossly unpopular policies. He's a cozy little lapdog for US interests. He wants to stay under their imperial wing because he ideologically aligns with the empire. It's like textbook nostalgia based on an imperialist worldview to maximize extraction, stealing the excess labor value from the working class. Obviously, that's not gonna help you, or any Canadians really, unless you own a gun factory. If you own a gun factory, congratulations, Mark Carney's your guy. Canada needs new security arrangements that don't see it aligning with an empire led by a known fascist. If Carney was serious and actually looking out for the interest of Canadians, Canada needs to leave NATO, the offensive military alliance controlled by the US empire led by a known. Canada's got to undo the military integration and cooperation with the US and Israel, the two greatest terror states, and the financial integration. Essentially, put the complete brakes on Mark Carney's plan of turning Canada into a militarized petrostate subservient to US empire, for the benefit of the wealthiest, out-of-touch dickheads in the country. That's Mark Carney's real constituency, and this is the most important point. Carney and the Federal Liberal Party are first and foremost concerned with the interests of the capital-owning class. They are their real constituents. They don't give a fuck about you or I. History has taught us this time and time again, that the interests of capital will align with liberal forces to concede to fascists. Canada needs a complete refresh and reconstruction of this country. The decades of austerity and outsourcing manufacturing has hollowed out the country. Material conditions are degrading. The youth's material conditions in particular are dog shit, okay? Living standards are in decline. The youth have a worse future ahead than their parents, comboed with global climate catastrophe, climate collapse invited by the leaders of previous generations. Thank you, you've really everything up, haven't you? Of course, at the same time, he's also rolling back civil rights across the board, particularly workers' rights, freedom of speech, and the rights of Indigenous folks and First Nations in Canada. Carney isn't a leader for the people. He is a neglectful elite hell-bent on serving the interests of capital, i.e., not you. Everything gets worse, nothing changes, shit sucks. This just brews deep apathy towards the political class in Canada. Carney pitches Canada as a bastion of followers of rule of law. This pisses me off so much.
We're making this progress because we have the values to which much of the world aspires, including commitments to sustainability, the rule of law.
Bullshit. Throughout Mark Carney's entire tenure, he has materially supported and offered political cover for Israel amidst their genocide and apartheid of Palestinians, and their ongoing wars of aggression, like against Lebanon, where they're doing the exact same thing that they did in Gaza. Carney's complicity in apartheid and are self-evidently against any notion of rule of law, but he can just lie and pretend like Canada's this bastion morality because the Canadian legacy media, which has access to him, is also complicit in the whitewashing of America and Israel's crimes. Carney supported the war against Iran, which by his own admission is against international law. This is the level of stupidity we're operating at. Canada's Prime Minister supports a war of aggression, knowing that it's illegal against international law, while still claiming to be the champion of the rule of law. Give me a break. What a racist lie by a world banker elite complicit in and wars of aggression. Very cool, Mark Carney. Thank you. So that's Fortress North America. Yay! I hope we all learned something today. Thank you all for watching. If you like my content and want to hear more, please like and subscribe to my channel. This world banker elite guy, Israel, the United States Empire, this fascist free Palestine. Until next time, take care everyone. Peace and love. Bye bye.